Don't let the world around you feign a light that's not allowing you to glow up and shine in your truest shine, or allow you to glow up and shine for your own self. For where you were born to be is for being light. Listen closely to what I'm about to tell you here, because it isn't simple information. It's about surviving the dark reality of the narcissist. Because there are people in this world who don't simply dislike you and will leave you alone. No, it doesn't suit their evil agenda, nor their hatred towards you. They don't want you to glow up, to succeed, or to gain perspective, or love at all. So they work to ensure that you don't exist, or will work hard to ensure that you won't be an existing member of society or family. They will hold the vice of controlling the narrative of you so that your truest character can never shine or be able to shine through their cunning disguises. So don't be naive, because if you fail to see the signs here, you might be walking straight into their setups and traps. And you'll catch the hidden smile upon their own faces as they are sharpening the blades behind your back. Now, this isn't paranoia, this is psychology. You see, narcissists operate with the newfound low in a hostility of calculation that most deeply decent people wouldn't ever want to see or even expose. Out of the level of love that they carry for them, they don't carry that love back. And the travesty here is this: you are a decent person, but it's that very decency that you hold that makes you vulnerable. But we can break it down here, reveal the signs to look out for, so that you can protect yourself, because they don't just resent you. No, they want to destroy you, and get to watch their own carefully crafted, designed, meant to break you, actually do break you. The psychological warfare, socially, is sometimes literally they're used to weapon virtue against you, and it's why the danger you are in is very real. It is one that is most sinister in aspects of the manipulation strategies narcissists use, and why it is so subtle that most people don't even realize it until it's too late. They see the qualities that you hold, the ones that make you kind or admirable, the same qualities that the narcissist will identify to target its victim, exploit, and slander, to character assassinate to their whims of their craft. And that you're loyal, they'll try to craft ways to make you seem less loyal by using your empathy and ability to forgive against you. They don't just exploit these qualities accidentally, they use them to become as opportunistic as they can be, deliberately to sabotage you and strategically to become the silent predator. They smell out your kindness like blood as a lion's prey. But when you're kind, they lean on your kindness, but not with gratitude for it, but with cunningliness and entitlement. So you might find yourself saying yes when you really want to say no, because your kindness they will use and tie a noose around your neck. When you're loyal, they will test your limits of your loyalty over and over, betraying your trust just to see how far they can push before you snap. So because you personally value loyalty, you'll hesitate to walk away. You might play it off to yourself that maybe they will change, or maybe they'll come to their senses. Maybe they didn't mean it. Maybe you'll reason with yourself that it's somehow your own fault when it's not. Instead, it's deliberate. They count on your forgiveness because they see forgiveness not as grace, but as something to weaponize, just like your love life or your work life. And then they'll use those very things to wrong you and play it off as contrite, then wrong you again over and over repeatedly, using your own capacity to resolve issues with empathy as a revolving door. This creates a perfect vacuum to vex through which their abuse can flow endlessly, and sometimes without you ever noticing it for what it is. They'll even frame their own abuse over you as somehow being your own duty, claiming if you're really forgiving, you'd let it go. And so this will have you wrestling with yourself in the process here, believing in second chances, and sometimes giving them more chances than they deserve, third, fourth, and fifth chances, so on and so forth, and simply because of your own love for them. But soon what you don't realize is that your forgiveness is being used, no longer as a gift of grace, but it's being used and ushered in and being twisted into permission. Your empathy that allowed you to try establishing a true heart's connection with those around you allowed you to see their pain and to see the world through their eyes, but it became a playground for the narcissist to exploit your empathy and using reverse psychology here to cast themselves as the victim while simultaneously simultaneously drawing out your compassion and manipulating your instincts to care. They will cry, throw fits of rage, or show a collapse, all to suit themselves up as somehow the victim, to play it all off as if they are somehow the victim, even when they've been the one victimizing you the entire time. So the roles are in reverse. When you are the one in need, you are the one that needed love, while their love vanishes into thin air. They simply don't care. It's how they'll deny you the same empathy that they demand of you. And when you figure things out to try and finally move on, calling back your own autonomy and energy, they simply don't want to let you get away. The predatory behavior that they now show turns into the very demonic thing that you've been experiencing all along. Just because you were unable to see where it was coming from before, and incapable of thinking it could come from them, the same people that you loved, being the same people hurting you to the core of who you were, or who you feel like you used to be, or could be. This asymmetry isn't a mistake, it's the design. Even in your determination to muster up the greatest depths of the human spirit to get out from underneath what they're putting you through, they won't even slightly celebrate your victory. They will secretly despise you for making it through their well-crafted gauntlet. So your willingness to yet see the best in others becomes a liability. You'll excuse these solid red flags because you still want to believe in the possibility of that same goodness. So you'll reinterpret the cruelty as stress, deceit, misunderstanding, and control as care. Right where the narcissist thrives because they know how to allow to bend the reality simply because they know you want to preserve relationships and not diminish them. And they are carefully using that knowledge to keep rewriting your story, getting you to feign on yourself in order to keep that hope alive. But every time that you do, their control gets tighter. This is the psychological trick, and it works, which is why they continue to use it to invert your strengths and to try and convert them into weaknesses. But they don't attack you because you're weak. They attack you because you show the strength that they envy, but they despise it. They don't celebrate it. They don't want to be too obvious about it either, because how they attack your weaknesses is because it'll be the very foundations of your identity to corrode, to explode, and to react so that they can say to others, see, look, I told you he was this way, or I told you she was this way. They want you to question your own virtues because it's set up to self-doubt yourself. You begin to see your best qualities as weaknesses or as some kind of birth defect, even when they aren't. They are your actual good qualities. But the work to invert those qualities and turn them into things that they can manipulate and manufacture over, and then act like they've been there for you all along, even when they never truly were. This is how they begin to weaken you, not by overpowering you, but by making you disarm yourself and overpowering yourself. And the travesty here is that most people don't see these things until years have already gone by. And if you make it through the attempts on your life, you'll look back and wonder, how did I let this go on for so long? Or how did I not see these things for what they truly were? But the answer is simple. You were and are a good person. Your kindness has been being used as weakness, as something to exploit, and your love was being weaponized as something to steal, or better yet, wash away completely. Perhaps they understood better than they play it off, but it's no accident to turn that goodness to be used against you. They understood fairly well how to manipulate just how powerful it was to celebrate your failures, even at your expense. You'll see that they don't care, that they never did care, and that they won't care. They'll celebrate your failures. They wanted to create more of them than their own victories to celebrate, because it's a window into the psychology they'll use, because it pinpoints their own insecurities. The trace of shame that you once see it for what it truly is, you can see their hatred and hostility towards you existing at all. Most people experience envy from time to time, like your neighbor buying a new car or something like that you yourself wants, and you'll have a slight jealousy about them getting a new car. But you don't hate them and despise them for it. You don't harbor that jealousy. Rather, you'll feel glad for them and move on. But you experience this emotion instead from your own lack of having that car. You soon move on, hoping for better to come for you as well. But a narcissist doesn't operate that same way. To them, success is an existential threat. It undermines their very fragile narrative that they've constructed about themselves as superior and always has to be the top dog and to come out on top and given praise. Your success doesn't simply annoy them, it wounds them. It tears at the veil of their self-deception. So instead Instead of celebrating their own wins, they would rather invest their own time and energy into celebrating how well they can cause you to lose. So if you pay attention, watch closely, they don't offer true support. When you stumble, they inwardly light up. Their eyes sharpen. Their tone changes. So if you fail at something important to you, they celebrate it quietly and have no shame in setting you up to even determine that failure or falling short. They mask any excitement for you poorly. Sometimes they will pretend to console you while savoring the collapse deep down inside. This is exactly why their praise feels so hollow and their care feels so hard-pressed and shallow. Their sympathy towards you feels off because it is off. At their heart's core, they are always waiting and even prepping, hacking, and determining your downfall because it will reassure to them their own superiority. They need to obtain and even maintain that authority over another's autonomy because they are inwardly messed up. Creatures of darkness to wish for sabotage over another, to give them some kind of superiority over these others, and to mean harm to. They don't just passively wait on your failures. They work to create conditions where failure is more likely to happen. They'll plant doubt before a big decision or plan a huge fraud over the outcome of something that they know means a great deal to you. This might be a purchase to a home or a purchase to a car, or it can even go into the deep-seated psychopathy that is needed to control somebody's love life, their work life, in order to hide their involvement of something, of an outcome that's meaning to break you or cause for you such pain as to suggest to them that's creating a problem that's just going to go and sort itself out. They will do things to undermine your autonomy or confidence, distance themselves with intent to distract you and others from how they are manipulating the scenes, grafting all over your life experiences, and even in your affairs over your life, your love life, to introduce chaos into your plans so that when you falter, they get double satisfaction from both watching you suffer and fumble at work or in your love life, while also having a very red hand caught in the scenes of manipulating it. They never cared for honesty to win when they can remain jilted and tilt the board in their favor. And the satisfaction tastes much sweeter to them when it comes as though it's to look like you suffered from your own expense and your own cause, meaning you somehow don't get to call it out for what it was. Rather, you remain blind to it or unable to miss something that you don't know how to comprehend wasn't there in the first place. But if you stay focused, even in small ways, you'll begin to see the patterns and share the news with your findings. And they will, like clockwork, downplay the events and curate the attention back over to themselves. So share the news, because it's like taking out a mirror and suddenly they'll be back attentive, energized, almost with interest, but it's not interest. It's as though your pain feeds their very ugliness and just no heart to recognize you as someone that's worthy of love at all. They'll probe for details to expose you, extend the conversations to get to you and thwart another attack, or to replay events over and over that they will cause you for more suffering and more anguish, especially when they can poison your reality and make your suffering more vivid. But when they succeed, that's right when they'll brush it off, change the subject, or offer a faint praise laced with doubt, or a way to guilt you or shame you specifically so that you'll walk away wondering why your accomplishments feel diminished every time you bring them up or make them. It's how they use that psychology, and it works to erode you. This is the scoreboard that they use to measure themselves against everyone around them. They need to feel ahead, but not through true growth or a period of true genuine achievement, but by terror and diminishing others and tearing them down. If they can't be the top dog, they will try to tear others down at their expense. If they can't be better than you directly, they will celebrate when your light dims. This is why they all talk and create a craft over you and even use your own face and image against you, because they are the cowards that can't come out in their own accord and use their own faces and images and just tell their own story. No, they have to clip up your work and try to only engage in you to tear you down. They don't want to be placed strategically in that downturn over your life. They have to create this innate obsession to control your life. That's also the reason they will reveal at times for what they do to create those misfortunes, claiming to be the people who care about you when they don't care anything about you at all. And in fact, they secretly despise you. It's not some random malicious intent. It's carefully crafted, strategized for their own survival in a world that honestly celebrates that type of behavior. For every success you make feels to them like they're being attacked. And the really messed up part of it all is that they can't outwardly show any sincere happiness for you without exposing themselves, so they develop methods to cover any way of ever expressing it, even to totally leave you in isolation or to ghost you, because it's a type of key into the breadcrumbs that you can see that they as well don't want others to see or figure out for themselves at all either. So they will strangely give you the silent treatment, which also shows and teaches others how they are as well to treat you, as though it's somehow okay when it isn't. So a casual remark or a conversation piece that's meant to land like a knife in your chest, or a suspicious silence at a moment of your life where any normal person would offer encouragement and have an offering of a suggestibility to help you. No, they will instead go silent, and over time of these events you'll begin to pick on the reactions. Almost as insignificant at one point, it'll start to weigh in heavier and heavier, as they are never there for you when you need them to be, but will almost always be there no matter what, at times where you felt like you needed to be left alone, and instead you were very inconvenienced, like being poisoned up by craft and left to bleed out to die quietly, so that their reactions begin to haunt you. It's right where you will start to question their contents of character, and rightly so. And they are there for you when it's to silence you or to secretly root for your downfall, but they're never there for you when you need them to help you to lift up. It's the exact doubt that corrodes relationships from the inside out, creating isolation, paranoia, or reactions from their abuse strategy. It's the exact state that the narcissist needs you to be in to frame you as unstable or mentally unsound, uncertain of yourself, or doubting yourself and your surroundings, to cut you off from support and celebrate your failures, to feed their demonic nature and need to terrorize you, to make themselves feel good about themselves somehow. It's their oxygen to poison you up, leave you without any, poisoning up your reality to make you suffocate the fruits of their own labor as well as the creation to cause you to suffer and to suffer greatly. It reaffirms their superiority somehow and reestablishes their fragile dominance and fuels their contempt to call you out of your own truest core or nature. But it also exposes the very vast emptiness, because a person grounded in any real strength doesn't need to fuel their need to tear others down in order to feel alive. They will just genuinely be going to work hard to build that part of their own life instead, and at times anyway, feel that sunlight coming back into your life and into your body. No matter how downtrodden you might truly feel sometimes, they won't celebrate others' hurts and pains. They will only care to help and craft up on your pain, not craft up any concern with the design in any other way but to terrorize that person in secret. A true heart of any real man will show up and show competence and has a real genuine self-respect that the narcissist doesn't own. Their hunger for malice is never ending, and they will never be truly satisfied by your setbacks. A false superiority, sure, but a gratifying satisfaction they can never get. They will always crave the next collapse, the next downshift in your life, the next place you stumble, the next piece of evidence that you aren't somehow working to be beyond them or haven't moved on. They turn silence into psychological warfare. Most people value communication as words spoken and discussions held to be an intellectual and integral part of relationships. But with a narcissist, silence is just as much of a weapon as speech that they'll use to determine you, undermine you, or use it to destabilize you, and to exert control over you. They shift the balance of power in a relationship without saying a word, not even a single thing, because they have no real problem at all with leaving you hurt to the core. It's not the silence of peace that they are giving you, or to even leave you to be alone to your autonomy. No, it's rather a silence that's meant to break you, knowing far well that they crafted over you in this fashion, that you need love and value affection, and that they will intend for that discard. It's not some thoughtful silence you may have been even asking for at times, maybe for months on end, when they instead made your life miserable. But the silence was to stage you, to isolate you, or to continue that slander of you, to hack you, or even to smear you. It's the silence to curate deliberately, to leave you when they know far well that you are suffering. They deploy it like a sniper in the art of warfare, needing to take effective control over your emotions emotional integrity and to drain you of resources, support, and any honorable care, with the fullest of intent of causing you maximum distress. And that's why they will go silent and discard you. In and of itself, it's never by accident. They don't withdraw from conversation because they have nothing to say for themselves, but because they very well know that you do now. So they want your mind to race, your anxiety to spike, your body to be depleted of oxygen by leaving you poisoned, and they plant that whole discard very well to know that you'll be left to replay every recent interaction with them, to have to figure it all out on your own without saying a single thing. You'll be left wondering, what went wrong? What did I do to deserve this? And their silence forces you into a self-interrogation as though you're on some sort of trial without knowing the charges. And maybe even this could actually be the case. The Lord knows the system itself plays a very heavily role into the same bad behavior of that of any other narcissist, to help into the smear campaigns, the social destruction, never about constructing any values of a moral integrity, rather the same slanderous behavior of those who placed you into the courts with intent anyways. The narcissist counts on every scene to spiral out of control so that every moment you have is them one moment more to spend into your own self-doubt, so that they can sit there high and mighty, getting to control the pain of another and make it grow stronger and be as dynamic as they can make it become to hurt you. So the silent treatment is perhaps the most common manifestation of this tactic. They disappear physically, emotionally, and spiritually to specifically leave you in uncertainty. Hours, days, and even years can pass without any explanation, and for some, they can all remain silent while they are plotting and scheming to actually take your life. They won't wonder how you're feeling because they know very well that you're feeling low. And that's the point, the disposition, the need for resolution, the discomfort that they allow you to feel. It all feeds their egocentric need to control you. It feeds their sense of power by withholding conversation or love or concern and even time. They make you chase them, feign that love, to force you to beg for any human decency whatsoever, to get you to devalue your own atonement of integrity to restore the connection. So what began as their withdrawal ends with your pursuit, and in that reversal, you can see they are feeling good about how they displaced you. They actually feel good about themselves, as if they did a good job, and that bad behavior that they show is something to be proud of. And they stomach it well, but it doesn't stop there. When they know something is of utmost importance to you, it can be in mid-conversation, and instead of completing the conversation, they'll look for a way to create a fight or to put up an impenetrable wall to leave you hanging, unanswered, unacknowledged, because the indifference they knowingly leave you in is devastating, because we're wired as people to seek response, to seek recognition. So denying you even acknowledgement of your concerns, they use this method to reduce your significance. They'll communicate that feelings don't matter much, and especially when they do this in front of others, it makes it harder for anyone else who would have had a normal concern for you to not have any at all as well, as though it's just a natural response towards you. And it's all done by not saying anything at all. Silence is used in a timely fashion with precision and the timeliness to maximize your insecurity right after a conflict. When most people would resolve things or at least attempt to reach a conclusion, they go quiet, and not because they don't have anything to say, but that this time it's calculated, not to give you anything at all, knowing far well that you deserve closure. Them going silent right here and right now, it's deliberate because it prolongs your discomfort, with the exact goal in mind of stretching it out until you can't take it anymore. You get to either start apologizing for actions that you shouldn't be apologizing for, or to say sorry at all, or they want to create a reaction out of the discomfort that they create so that they can suggest that you caused all of it on your own. And they win when they get a reaction out of you, so don't react because it's exactly what they want you to do, to feel good about themselves, or their affairs that they're holding over you, or even somehow feeling good about secretly trying to poison you to death. They get their thrill by controlling your suffering. This is all being done to hijack your instinctive design, where you're wired to interpret silence as a signal that something is very wrong here. This is done to get you to intuitively try and repair it, So they hijack your good character, knowing your reaction will leave them feeling superior and you in the void, feeling alone in a relationship that was designed to look on the outside like it was a love and honorable type of commitment. But the only commitment for themselves was only to themselves. They're selfishly devouring your good nature with intent to turn your empathy and desire for connection into tools that they can use for their own subjugation of you. You'll work harder and harder, and it won't be enough for them because you won't be spending time with them, or you'll be trying to reverse it and work fewer hours or find a correct ratio here. But no matter what ratio on the scale is that you use, it doesn't matter, because to them, you're just a toy to be used and a ploy to be sought after, and especially within a proxy relationship. You can't give them enough, you can't do enough, and you can't count for something enough, because it's all by design, meaning to break you down further, to compromise your own identity, and all with your wishes to end the silence, end the abuse. But each time you do this, you in turn only reinforce their dominance of control, teaching them that their silence will get them exactly what they wanted. So over time, this tactic weaponizes silence like a psychological training ground. You start anticipating for it, expecting it, to fear it, to avoid actions that might trigger it. So you'll begin to censor yourself, or maybe you'll end up sleeping in more, depressed and sad. Where too, this is as well where they want you to be, to minimize your own need for value in your own life. So you're adjusting behavior out of love or respect that ends up plunging you into the void, creating a further circumstance that's going to be depressing, or to reshape your own sense of self. You become smaller, more tentative, less visible, while they gain more power from the mutiny that they use to isolate you by poisoning your reality and by poisoning your relationships, or even actively poisoning you, as was done to me. This is the most devastating of all tactics of all, because it leaves you breathless on so many levels, both instinctively and physically, while emotionally and spiritually, all at the same time, because it cuts off not only the oxygen you need, but the very foundation of your moral integrity at the compass of the human resilience. Our connection to others, human beings, and our families and our community depend on our real and actual connection, ones that matter in both directions, not ones that work to secretly diminish this to have the ability to thrive. And humans endure and thrive through true and compatible connections with each other, family, community, and the friendships that we can make. The narcissist also knows this. So they know too that if they can cut you off from having any strong support, that they can continue to control you themselves. And if you catch on, which I hope that you do by now, you're going to be a lot harder to manipulate, a lot harder to break. So this is why they're all about eroding those ties, and not always with open attacks, but with subtle corrosion that leaves you without the people you once felt like you could trust, now feeling distanced, suspicious, or even hostile towards you. This process often begins quiet, with small insignificant suggestions, or what seems insignificant at the time, but they are carefully planting seeds of doubt, doubting to be taken within for your own self. So you begin to doubt within others about you. You begin to doubt their existence of loving you at all, nor for them to see that you're worth something, your true worth. They might say something off base at a time or fashion, like around the holidays, to get others not to respect you. They might create double standards about how they treat you, to hint at not having the best of intentions for you in the first place, but to also be used as to show to someone else that you somehow deserve that insult or mistreatment. At first, you might dismiss these comments and brush them off as nothing, but after a while, and repeated enough, these comments will start to eat away and take up residence. You begin second-guessing your relationships and doubting the sincerity of the people you once thought cared for you. As your doubt then grows, you start to withdraw and pull back further from these connections, which is also exactly what the narcissist wants you to do, to disconnect you from the concern of others and the concern you have with those others. This is where you realize that what you felt for others was something real, and what they feel for you isn't not only not real, but it's also built with malicious intent hiding behind it. And it's not about love at all. This is where you realize that triangulation coming into play, where they deliberately pit people to work against each other. They manipulate others to get them to not care about you at all. They create conflict by craft where none might have existed at all. They'll pitifully tell stories one way to certain people and tell a whole other story at another point, setting themselves up as the indispensable middle point of perspectives to catch yourself in a drama that you didn't create, unsure of who said what and or where, specifically, so you withdraw from not knowing who to trust or not. This confusion is done as well to isolate you further because now you feel unsafe to even try to confide in others, scarred and scared of being betrayed again or for being misunderstood. So the narcissist somehow becomes the only safe option, even though they're the ones manipulating the circumstances and orchestrating the chaos that's been ensued all around you. So once you call them out on this motivation, they'll start to smear campaign against you, and behind your back they will be subtly twisting up the narratives of who you really are. And as for myself, it's like this. Where and when would I have even had the slightest chance to become me? Someone that I couldn't even find nor see, being the victim of a poisoning, identity theft, and psychological warfare. Precisely where would I have ever had that chance to be my own self? They don't usually launch blatant lies right away, but they begin with slight variances of distortion so that other people's perspectives begin to see you differently, perceive you differently, treat you differently, or they'll use these half-truths, but carefully formed and framed to make you be the unreliable, unstable, or to pinpoint you as somehow selfish, that you should even want for such things, love, time, energy. So by the time that you realize what's happening, your reputation is already surely disposed and put you into disposition and sadly ruined the very essence of yourself in a very sadistic variance of the use that they use to quietly erode your character into the minds of others, even their own kids or their own family or other coworkers, because people you once counted on to be there for you then begin to treat you differently, hesitant, suspicious, or distanced. So once you confront the narcissist about it, they feign their innocence, claiming that they didn't know why others are pulling away from you, or why they themselves would even work in such ways against you. While the truth is, they know far well that their actions were going to hurt you. They've been engineering it step by step. Another layer of this isolation and sabotage is by monopolizing your time and energy. They'll discourage you from spending time with your family or loved ones, or in the reversal of that, to pine others against you, and sometimes overtly with blatant criticism of your own loved one as well as telling them something to criticize you with. This is done to insert a pry bar to get both parties discouraged to spend time with one another. They will even guilt trip their own family member for listening to you at all. If you go out with them, see them, or be on any talking terms with them in any way, they will guilt you for doing so. They might even sulk or punish later to scold you with the coldness that's meant to send chills up your spine, or they will accuse you of taking sides if you spend time trying to understand the victim of this sad narcissistic decline, as though in family and love you have to pick a side to be on, pinpointing that they have their children or grandchildren taken away from them. This is done to alienate one parent over the other, or one grandparent over the other. It's unpleasant to the loving family member, while the abusers seem to get off scot-free with their invitation to create discord and contention between family. Gradually, they make it so that your whole world or reality suddenly revolves around the narcissist's control, from your relationships to your income, to how you work, to where you work, to how your own internet data or social media is completely changed because of their sadistic behavior regarding you has been on point for so long, without you even realizing it. They become the centerpiece, and not by doing anything to enrich your life or to enhance your life, but by cutting off the very alternative resource for true connection to be had, built, or even maintained. Technology made this narcissism even easier for them. They can monitor your communications, your location through tracking devices. They can question your every interaction on social media and sow suspicion by setups, one after another. This makes it all possible to perform over your life force, all over your energy, and in all that you do, as a way to totally and completely take over your life, hacking you. So again, this is all done to get you to isolate yourself, censor yourself, stop relying on others at all, and to get you to give up. And once you begin to isolate your own self preemptively just to avoid conflict, you're handing them the control without even realizing it. They got you to give up or quit, so they got you just where they wanted you to be again. And their cruelty here is to attack you, so you just stop. So that by the time you recognize what's been happening to you, you find yourself alone, unable to depend on anyone, unable to depend on the police, unable to depend on medical staff, and unable to count on anyone. The very friends you used to think that you had to rely on, and maybe relied on you, suddenly aren't there anymore and are a distant memory. Family ties have been strained, colleagues don't quite trust you anymore, and maybe they themselves had a secret hatred for you as well. And because that isolation breeds shame, you're reluctant to even try to admit or to adhere to the damages that they have been building by craft, solid, all around you. You might even begin to believe the narcissist's narrative after all, that maybe you're just too difficult. While you go down even further, you might even question whether or not you're worth loving at all. You tell yourself that nobody even likes you, or that you were never valued by others in the first place. So maybe you'll begin to think that you're someone that just doesn't deserve any valuable type of love or support at all. And this belief entraps you even further, because if you think that no one else wants you, or the love that you were trying hard to build, you'll start to then cling desperately to the very people or person that you are trying to get away from in all seriousness, the one that's curating this narcissistic entrapment for you. And you'll be running back to the narcissist, from one narcissist to the next narcissist, while all of that in which are the same people trying to destroy your heart and to destroy you. So that isolation isn't dramatic. Sometimes it's quiet, creeping along as almost invisible. One remark here after another remark, or suggestion there after another suggestion. A subtle shift of energy or small talk. Maybe a sudden shift of things once said with intent to be helpful if you found yourself in trouble, to leave you craftily in that same trouble, and then they withdraw on you. But over the years of this bad behavior, these small acts, gestures, and craft begin to accumulate into the vast chasm between you and the same people who once gave you the strength to go on, and now you're left in a vacuum of that love, dry of your own mind, of what once was. And loving. You used to be loving. You used to feel joy. And you used to be bright. And instead of any of those things, instead you just became deadened inside. Idle of what once felt could come alive inside of your life just feels dead and gone, as if being buried alive. And that's exactly how these narcissists who coordinate together exert the most control, where there will be no one left to run to, no one left to contradict their own versions of reality, and no one to really remind yourself of who you even are. And your worth is so much more than whatever their version is, and you should know that. They played you out by craft. They disguised cruelty as some moral high ground. This is the most painful place to be in, because through this craft and strategy, now they have convinced you that you're worthless, useless to others, that they are somehow righteous as well to be able to treat you this way, and so they will. And though you're always just meant to be treated as though you are nothing. And that's not right. When they get other people involved to treat you as if you're nothing when you're somebody. And that's the coldness that comes openly. It starts to openly insult your intelligence directly. Or they might take cheap shots at your anger. But at least now their coldness and maliciousness, you can see it for what it is. And it's visible to you where it wasn't before. Or not so much. But it masquerades as guidance or support here. As some kind of correction of justice. It might even be harder to identify or to see it for what it is, because you just can't fathom all of those years of abuse coming from the same people that you were turning to, looking for answers and loving all along. This incapacitates your sense of self. It doesn't just erode it, it seizes it to even exist at all, because this is where the narcissist truly thrives in ambiguity, because it allows them to maintain the image of being the moral or having the principled understanding, while at the same time inflicting the wounds that cut you down so deeply. They frame their so-called help as criticism, as though it's healthy, as they might even use biblical gospels to be gaslighting you with, while as well trying hard to maintain that disciplined and carefully crafted character, as though they care at all, while doing no such thing, because they're doing this to you, to hurt you. They'll frame it as though they're only telling you this for your own good, but their words, their tone, the timing, are all designed to undermine your confidence. They don't want you to truly grow. They want you to self-doubt yourself and to thank them for pointing out your flaws. It's a twisted inversion to create that cycle where you tell them that you're somehow grateful for them while at the same time they got you absorbing all of the harm that they've caused, which then gets you to accept the deeper and more insidious levels of disguised cruelty. So if by chance you might disagree with them, which by this point you probably will and should, they will continue to hold themselves up in this high standard of what is ethical and what is right, and by amplification of this tactic, it's in turn going to frame you as being the immoral, ignorant of what works or what makes you otherwise look irresponsible. It's not even an argument where there's any equality or footing to be held. It's just judgment handed down, one footing after another, basically making itself as some self-appointed authority. And because most people want to be seen as good, honest, and fair, you'll find yourself scrambled to prove your worth under their very underhanded standards given, meant to deliberately make their love unattainable as something that you had to work for in order to get. True love, however, will show up for you because they love you, not because you can do something for them, and most times just for showing up for others. In that realness of love, you'll see that these people who you think don't have anything for them to show up for actually do. A true and honorable love. If not, it's just that you're going to be treated like a doormat. You'll find out for yourself that the standards of love are unattainable, and at best they are crafting it out that way to erode your time and energy you have for true love at all. Not just the romantic type of love, but the familial type of love. And even in the workplace, where communities should be shared to some level of love and concern for you, you'll find yourself in workplaces being made into the problem when it's really these same types of narcissistic traits scrambling to make right what's being set up to be worked against you, to sabotage you in the workplace, the same way you were being treated in your home life, your family life, your community even, and even in the legal department. So you'll know far well there's corruption at play, and that it's not just on the surface level of crimes, but made to perform over your whole entire life, while you're as well poisoned from within your own entrusted circle of friends, certain family, and other familial ties, all working to decimate you so that you can't be loved, you can't find love, and you aren't made to feel as though there's any way out of this abuse. So if you call out their bad behavior, they'll then cloak their retaliation as some lesson in humility, patience, or forgiveness. They will hurt you with intent, and then move about to demand that you be the bigger person, twisting your own values into a tight noose around your neck, that same noose that they don't even give a rat's ass about, that's around your neck, so that they can use it to hang you later with. Their cruelty hides behind the mask of entitlement, enlightenment, getting you to question whether you're the problem, or for not appreciating their wisdom, as if you're taking them for granted when they're the ones that are actually taking you for granted. They'll then present themselves as virtuous, acting like you're the dangerous one, when reality is, they are the very danger, that if you were to see it for what it was, you'd be driven as far away from them as fast as a rocket ship into outer space. They will all prop themselves up as the integral ones, who believe in fairness or compassion. Meanwhile, their subtle stabs at you are also framed as concern for you, or even a concern for another individual in a proxy campaign, while making you seem like the dangerous one to the very present danger that you're in, that they have been undertaking the whole time. Then act like their worry is that you aren't handling things responsibly. And to outsiders, to the whole framework here, that all might seem well and good, even thoughtful, but to you, it's just another pining slice of degradation, because their cruelty is hidden beneath the veneer of some self-appointed moral high ground, as though you yourself doesn't have the right to even seek justice, or like the original light that the Lord made you within the womb of your mother to be after, like you've had no right to be good at anything at all, to get good at anything, or to be a good person at least, just trying to be a good person. And the insidious nature of this offense is to suggest that you have no right to try to be anything for yourself at all, meaning that they literally want you dead, or to be non-existent, to not exist anymore, or at all. And if you try to call them out on this, they'll claim that you're too sensitive, that your reaction is too defensive, and will otherwise suggest that you're unstable, which is also to reinforce their own narrative as somehow still, and even get to show that they are somehow the responsible one. This strategy works wonders because it taps into the shame, and shaming others is the most powerful lever that they can cause and use in human psychology. When you feel ashamed, you'll try harder to prove your worth harder, while the narcissist exploits this by creating situations where their own cruelty induces shame. Like, you should be ashamed of yourself, basically, for seeking love at all, or how dare you even look at your own girlfriend in any kind of loving manner while she's sleeping, as suggested, as though it's creepy instead of something to admire your love for another. And admiring them in that kind of way is somehow just something that's not something to capacitate. They incapacitate your initial will to love and to love freely. They initially want to make you feel as though anything you do, anything at all, is wrong, and use to shame you as though it's some kind of moral correction. Where on the contrary to that, these narcissists have not even a fraction of the moral integrity that you actually do have, or that they paint themselves up to have at all. They even think of doing what they do at all. They have no shame for it, none at all. They despise you for your own independence, when what you're resisting of how their low integrity is to admit it to yourself that you're not wrong for wanting a simple love life, one that can't be controlled, or a work life, one that they aren't interjecting with yet another proxy, meaning to poison you up or to take you out. And in that same real reason is why the government is completely useless, because it utterly fails people to obtain justice at all where it's due, or has been due for years and years on end. You don't fight back because fighting back is somehow confessing that guilt. You fight back because you've been swallowing that poison unwittingly. And it's in that and those actions alone that create a very insignificant double standard of what is moral about the justice system at all, as well as clipping up your work as though you don't have any absolute reason to speak out, or a real one at all. So even the justice system says, calm down, swallow that same shame that we've always been handing you and getting away with all along. You just sit down and shut up and let us do with you whatever we want to do with you for the rest of your time and energy, as though you don't have any availability of yourself at all to become anything of yourself. It's all been gamed up this entire time and throughout your life already. I mean, talk about a double standard being triple coated with the whole systemic effort to silence the truth teller. It just gets galvanized. These plans to take people out and somehow not even allow any person to even suggest these eugenics exist at all. Total silence those through fear tactics in a double effort to reach some standard that's just not achievable or attainable at all. Justice over this constant type of exposure to abuse just reshapes your whole outlook on life, not just your own self-image. That self-image is gone in the wind. Why would you even try to ask to be anything more than that of a slave to these very corrupt and official narcissists? So you start to see yourself through their lens, flawed, inadequate, lacking somehow to reach a moral integrity, because they aren't letting you reach for anything at all, not even your own identity, not your own integrity, not love, not financial stability. So you might even find yourself judging yourself or criticizing yourself in actions, holding yourself to the impossible standards of punishing yourself for imaginary failings, because in this way they don't just control you externally, they colonize your inner voice. Even when they aren't around, you'll somehow be telling yourself that you're not good enough, that you're worthless, that you're useless, and it's now getting etched into your character. In that way, the very person that you could be just gets blown into bits, into smithereens. And it's so horrific because it's like, good luck recognizing that you could be worth so much more at all at this point. But then they've also been steering your life, your behavior, and all without you even noticing it, poisoning you. So that's the most devastational part of it all. They've had you poisoned and lost off within a rage, and instead of hearing you out or trying to hear you out, they just use it as well against you, as if you being poisoned is somehow you, your own self, like standing over your shoulder, unable to come out and speak like you do, unable to speak with you even, or to create resolution. No, they just want to control you, control how you speak, while not giving one fuck about the fact that you would be speaking in any different tone, in any other manner at all if it wasn't for their very insidious behaviors in the first place. Maybe you'd be a bright speaker, maybe you'd be a motivational speaker, or have your own artistic speeches or artistic approaches in life. Maybe you'd even be a really, really good speaker. Maybe you'd just be a drummer. Maybe you'd be a singer. Maybe you'd be an artist. When instead, they're just ensuring that you aren't allowed to be anything at all of yourself. Not just on a coaching level or a speaking level, but any job, any love life, any passion that you've wanted in your life at all. They wanted you dead, not just to undermine you in your own head, to be able to draw or paint or drum, create songs. No, they wanted you to feel as if your own need to get out of these places wasn't allowed. They need to take you out completely. The cruelty here is that it often goes unnoticed by others. To the outside world, the ways the narcissist gets away with the cunningly lying, deceitful actions might look on the external as someone standing up for what is right, but they've carefully crafted that image by ensuring that their cruelty passes as virtuous in the eyes of others, when it's absolutely not. It's disgusting. This then isolates you even further because when you try to explain what's been happening to you, it's meant to look like you've just gone crazy because of the lengths of time, the poisons, and how hard it is to articulate. You'll be all over the map at first, so people will assume that you're right to side with the very insidious nature of the narcissist and the demonic cruelty, and they might even play into it themselves or play along. It's much easier that way than standing up for someone that's a victim in this way. So they gain some moral high ground simply by getting praise for their so-called high standards while you're left carrying the wounds of all of their attacks. So they'll fantasize about your collapse as if it were justice, and this reveals the very demonic nature of the narcissist's psyche because it exposes not only the envy and resentment, but also the twisted logic that they constructed to justify their hostility towards you. In their minds, your collapse isn't just something that they wanted, it's something that they needed now and right now, because they need you and others to somehow believe that it's just you getting what you deserve as some kind of karmic reward. But that interpretation is not over your strengths and achievements or for your happiness and even your resilience as a person to take that insult by them. Every good thing in your life is framed as evidence of arrogance, lack, or some deception. And so they nurture these fantasies of you being brought low, stripped of all of your integrity, your dignity, and left isolated and broken. This isn't a simple dislike. This is a sustained action or an inner rehearsal of your total destruction. You can see the traces of their reactions when you speak about your success, and they'll pine it as if you've gone far enough. Or they'll even say, haven't you gone far enough, when you really haven't even crawled out to become yourself at all. And then they'll shame you for trying to even get away from them and their ability to control you. Even when you're still just on that cusp of reaching your final discovery of it, instead of seeing joy in their eyes, you'll see that they can't even barely hold it together. Just knowing for themselves that you finally reach discovery, seeing their faces narrow and their smile that doesn't quite reach their faces. And it's a true sad shame because you actually had true love for them, the same people that would do this to you at all. And it's because of that love that's made it that much more hard to deal with. It's made it much harder for you to articulate it, to speak it out, or to even find the words to say it for what it is. So they are already imagining the day that those successes you'd have rather wanted to share with them, but they imagine to themselves turning inside out, that you're turning inside out and upside down because they wanted to burn you down to the ground, to burn you out, and to make your death come as early as it can while making that death look like it was all done by you. No foul play and nothing to see what's real. And they'll even inwardly wait for the day to come, casting themselves as the ones who saw it coming, making the scene they created as though it's just a sad thing for them, when internally they won't be sad for you at all. They'll rather be happy about the collapse, that you died. To them, it's not even cruelty, it's just inevitability with all of their insidious actions. Because in their minds, they're waiting for that reality to reveal what they already know, what they've been working tirelessly to create. And that is somehow to craft it up as though you don't deserve what you already have, because they didn't even want you to get out of homelessness. No, they didn't even want you to have a pair of socks to walk into the middle of a blizzard. To them, they could care less. They don't want you to appear as strong as you are, or as capable as you are, or ever could be. They want to expose you as the enraged version of their own crafts, so their fantasy of your collapse is coupled with annihilation and sabotage. They don't want to wait for life to run its course. It doesn't suit their needs over your life now, because you're finding them out. So they set up traps, proxies, and spread rumors, slander, and smear campaigns to get others to side with the evil that the narcissist already set out to cause you the greatest harm ever, to ensure that you'll be alone when they create more obstacles so that your downfall comes at a more rapid pace. They can't wait any longer for you to stumble downhill, to reinterpret your own failing as some justice rather than their little treat to feed off of your energy. The devil loves to eat at a table of others' energy before throwing them out in the same damn way that they got them tricked and used to take you out. So if you lose a job, they'll say that you were incompetent anyways. But they'll also know far well that you were very competent. You were just being poisoned, positioned, psychologically tortured, gaslighted, and all the efforts made to absolutely destroy you that they've taken up. But they'll claim as though they had no part in it whatsoever, when in reality, it takes a team of people to make a mess like this. If a relationship ends, they know the affairs that their own cunning craft as well took part in. They claim they saw these signs, play it off as though you're selfish, or that there's just something wrong with you, when in reality, it's the game over your love life, created by Proxy even, to cultivate even that much harder of a place to deal with the distress of psychological manipulation and warfare. They rewrite your pain into the narrative that fits their mold, to vindicate themselves, erasing their whole role completely, in ever causing it or creating it, then frame it out as their own superior insight. There's also a very satanic and ritualistic quality to how these people discuss their difficulties, especially when they confide in them, hoping for support, some empathy. They listen, but with a hint of satisfaction barely concealed beneath their mask of concern for you. They may even offer words to comfort you, but the savory of these words are carefully detailed, as though they've cataloged their words carefully, as though they are on some set, acting it out now for some TV screen. But they've been planning their words out well, carefully, not to expose themselves as contrite, but you can see it now. Your pain and suffering was always their entertainment, a theater to where they can just sit in the audience and applaud the drama that they've been carefully crafting in your life. What's so horrific about this event is that most people just don't care, and instead it brings them some sort of great pleasure or satisfaction in that collapse. They feel powerful. They actually get their rocks off on seeing you suffer. It's really sick. They vindicate themselves in some superiority, and the dangerous element here is projection. They justify their actions against you as projections onto you. The very qualities that you actually do carry are the same qualities that they can't even see in themselves, and it hurts their ultra ego. So they are deceitful. They claim you're the dishonest one. If they themselves are being cruel, they accuse you of lacking compassion. If they are envious, they insist that you're being arrogant. So by painting you as corrupt, they convince themselves that your collapse isn't only an inevitable one, but it's the righteous thing. In their twisted moral framing of you, it's not cruelty to wish for you to be destroyed. It's justice. It's your karma. They are the self-appointed judge, jury, and executioner in this open-air courtroom, where you are always the guilty party, and even the language they use itself reveals this very flawed mindset. If you pay close attention to the way they speak about people who have experienced any misfortune, they will rarely express any genuine morality. Instead, they'll cloak their loathsome cruelty and unusual behavior in some false moral commentary. They'll just say things like, well, they had it coming, or that's what happens when these people think that they're better than anyone else, when it's just not true. It's just comments to make their dress rehearsal a practice for the day, and they can most likely and will say the same things about you that they say about these people as well. They normalize their own sadistic satisfaction by somehow framing it as wisdom, as if the rest of the universe agrees with their truly shit moral compass and their hostility towards anybody trying to become somebody that they cannot see for it and of themselves. Over time, being around someone who is secretly anticipating for your destruction seeps into the psyche. You begin to sense it, to start writing it down, and you begin to really see it for what it is. From the way that they hold their smiles back, to the way they accurately start to show that they harbor hidden plans and pains, for how badly that they've treated you, and they are in pain, and for the ways that they carry over your mishaps and mistakes. How could they not be? It all creates a very undercurrent in the relationship that's hard to ignore, because if it's true, they aren't going to be rooting for your downfall. They're going to be rooting for you if they truly care, not for your downfall and demise. They can't see you win. They can't stand to see you win because it means to them that they have failed, and it shows. They couldn't choose to win with you. They couldn't choose to win alongside of you. They couldn't choose to fight for you. No, they wanted to fight to oppress you. So they're helping you out only if it can create some downfall for you. And that's literally how fucked their psychology is. We could be winning together, but they despised you so bad that they chose to hope for your collapse and wanted that collapse so badly so that they went to work on it in the dark of your life. So when you go, they won't mourn you. They will celebrate the fact, and that celebration won't be an open laughter or applause, and maybe it even will. But if it isn't, it will be there, recognizable to those in the knowledge of it, or in those who remain in Christ Jesus, because Jesus Christ gave us a mirror to mirror back at the man who wants to side with the demons that still coincide within them. So that subtle look of satisfaction is the reality hidden in phrases that will hold them in contempt of their own really messed up psyches. A phrase maybe, or a disguise that they can no longer hide, but it will be there for those who choose to see it. A heavy silence or withdrawal can tell you all that you need to know without one single word ever being spoken.